Annyeonghaseyo from Korea, and here are 4 delicious Korean noodle dishes that you can try at home. Follow along with these recipes. They look great, they taste great, and they're easy to make. So watch this handsome guy as he tells you how to cook them, and I'll chime in here and there with a little bit of advice. So let's begin.
Oh yeah, look at this. Kimchi. Oh. We've got kimchi ready in the kitchen today, and it's been sitting for a few weeks now. It's the perfect kimchi to use to cook kimchi guksu.
For this, we want to make sure we're using kimchi that has been fermented for a longer time than usual. This is quite important because it's kimchi guksu, right? So you've got to make sure you're using, well, the best kimchi you can possibly get. And the best kimchi is the most fermented kimchi. A lot of people don't like that sour taste, but when you're cooking with it, that's the taste you want. Otherwise, what's the point? You don't want bland kimchi guksu.
You always have to test the kimchi. You test it a few times.
There's a real trick to cooking these noodles, and that's kind of the rule of 3. It boils over once, add a little water. Boils over twice, add a little water. And on the 3rd time it boils over, take it off the heat. It's that easy, and they're ready. Make sure when you're washing them, it's cold water of course, these are cold noodles, but then actually get your hands in there and scrub them almost like you do. People say like you're doing laundry, so like a double hand, sort of rub them against each other. You just want to remove the starch. There's nothing worse than starchy noodles. And when you're plating and preparing, you don't have to make it fancy. I'm doing this because, well, I enjoy it. So I guess if you like this kind of thing, then yeah, get in there, make it fancy, have a bit of fun with it. But you can just put it all in a bowl and eat it, right? So we've got our kimchi on top, the delicious soup. Those cucumbers will add a lot of flavor to it, a bit of crunch, and then some sesames on top. And we're done. It's that easy. Because remember, it's kimchi guksu. The flavors in the kimchi and the broth, the kimchi broth that you're using, which is why it needs to be very fermented kimchi. You want that flavor, and when you do it right, it tastes perfect. Great for a hot summer's day. We've got unseasonably warm sort of summer this year in Korea, and this one is perfect. Ooh, delicious. But this video is about all different types of noodles. So let's get to the second one. And the second one is Janchi Guksu.
Join me in the kitchen today as I cook Janchi Guksu. Pour yourself a glass of wine. I've got one there. And let's cook it together. Let's begin.
Now you want to get that wine ready because this dish takes a little bit longer. It's worth it though. This is a fancy dish and it's great for special occasions. It's not one you whip up just whenever you're feeling like it. Though it is easier if you, instead of you cooking the anchovies down as I'm going to do, you just use a pre-packaged one. But the flavor's not the same. Speaking of flavor, what about this flavor?
That smells delicious. I wish you were here to smell it.
Oh indeed, parsnip, it did smell delicious. Now for this, you don't have to go and prepare all the ingredients to make the stock, such as the anchovy stock. You can buy it pre-packaged, but the taste is different. If you do have the time, it is worth cooking it yourself because it is easy, it just takes time. You're really just chucking a bunch of ingredients into a pot, boiling it, and then keeping the water. So it's not too hard, but you're just adding extra time. Now I remove the anchovy heads. People online say remove the body, like the guts, and keep the heads, but my wife told me to take the heads off, so I took the heads off. We listen to our wife around here. She says do it that way, I do it that way. Like I said earlier, it's so easy just to boil this down. Add a bit of anchovy stock to the mix, and yeah, it's basically done. Now I just wait 20 to 30 minutes, drink some wine, and relax a little bit. And look at it go. I love the color of this. Once I poured that all out and I put it back into the pan, it looked really good. And it's actually smelled quite nice. If you've ever had the difference of cooking your own or just using a pre-packaged one, you can really tell. Now we're adding all the extras, and that's going to give the flavor, and the boiling begins. While that boils away, prepare this. You don't want to cook these too long. They can get soggy really easily, the zucchini, so do it quick. Once again, we're using these noodles, so we're doing the three time method. Look, there's one, here's two, put the water in, and the third time we take it off the boil and rinse it. And it's the same again. Cold water, rinse it all off, and wash it down to remove the starch. Very easy. Once you've done it once, it's so easy. Now we turn those vegetables in there. Mushrooms, you want to cook a little longer, carrots quicker, and then the egg is one of the last things we add, and we can just stir it in. You can even stir that in after turning off the heat. And it's ready to serve. Once again, you don't need to go to all the effort to prepare it all nice. You can just throw it in a bowl. Coming up, you're going to see me add a little bit of beef on top of this. Now I don't show myself cooking that. I cooked that up the next day using some leftovers, and it was perfect. Adding that beef on, that little bit of almost savory beef flavor, was an absolute game changer, and my wife loved it. She said it was absolutely perfect. So that's a fairly good endorsement from her, because she doesn't, when I don't do a good job, she doesn't say it's good, believe me. Now let's see what we're cooking up next. And what is this dish that we're looking at now?
Annyeonghaseyo from Korea. Today we're using Bibim, which is this, to make Bibim Makguksu.
Now that Parsnick has given a quick intro, I'll tell you what Bibim Guksu is in case you didn't see the original video. Bibim Guksu is essentially noodles that have the main ingredient be bibim, which is perilla leaf oil. Basically it's cold noodles, and then you figure out some delicious things to add to it and then pour over this oil. I've actually got homemade bibim oil, which was very lucky, someone gave it to me, but you can buy it, at a Korean place or at an Asian supermarket near your home. It's quite simple. I'm using chicory here, though normally you would use something a little bit like, you might use minri or something like that, like a more traditionally Korean green, but I couldn't find any of those, and chicory was on sale. So that's the one I'm using. It's actually a little bit tastier with a green that doesn't wilt as easy as chicory does, but it was still perfect for this. That's just how versatile the dish is. The real sort of fun of it is getting these flavors right. You need a vinegar flavor, you need a little bit of spice, you need a little bit of sweet, that's why we're adding the sugar, and then that bibim gives this very good sort of mix of umami flavor with that sort of gosan, that almost savory nutty flavor. And when you combine it with the salty gim later on, it's perfect. Now these are different noodles than before, so you just cook them for 6 minutes and then rinse them off. Taste it before you take them out, they should be a little bit chewy, but as long as you stick to about 6 minutes, you'll be fine. and then give them a nice cold bath. The colder the noodles are, the better, because once those noodles go put next to the gim, which is the seaweed lather, and the delicious chicory in my case, or the greens you're using, they'll wilt very quickly, and you don't want that. So you really do want a very cold noodle here. When you put it in here and start adding the sauce, it should be cold and a little dry. There's our 3 tablespoons of perilla oil, which is the most important part, and the sugar. Now mixing this up, let it soak in, and then start preparing. Very easy dish, because really the noodles are the main event. You don't even need to add a lot of the stuff that I've added, because there are a lot of different ways to eat this. But I love the way this looks on the plate, and the taste was probably one of the best things I've had that I've cooked, which says a lot. I cook a lot of delicious food, but this really, the flavor was special. It's almost like having a bag of sort of salt and vinegar chips, which is kind of hard to explain and hard to understand when you think of noodles. But if you've ever had a really delicious bag of salt and vinegar chips, you'll understand the taste. And look at it, and it looks beautiful on the plate. Oh, delicious. Now, speaking of looking beautiful on the plate, we're about to go into our next noodle dish, and this one is a very interesting one, and it's also very fun to make. Let's check it out. Now that's not a pasta sauce we're using with these noodles. It's probably closer to, I mean, it's a red pepper sauce basically. Red pepper with some onion and the ingredients I'm putting into the blender here. That's giving us our base. So it's garlicky, gingery flavor with that pear juice, which gives it a little bit of sweetness that we want. And now we're adding the red pepper. So this is where we're adding the flavor. And now you can add more red pepper to get a redder sort of thing, but it might throw off the flavor a little bit. Or you can add less onion if you want. And that'll also take, won't be as white and sort of orange as mine is. The trick here is refrigerate it after you put in the sesame leaves and the sesame seeds. Then add the sugar and vinegar. And that'll help the consistency and help get that little bit of a thicker consistency. As you can see here, it's a little bit different than the one I showed you before, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we want, because we want it to sit on the noodles. And speaking of noodles, we're cooking the noodles the same as we did with the third video. So it's 6 minutes. You could go for 5 minutes if you want. You don't have to be too close on the time. Just taste it before you take them out. Then quickly get them under that water, cold water, and rinse them off. The reason we use these noodles is they're a little thicker and they have quite a good sort of chewy consistency that goes really well when you're using something simple like a sauce, or in the third video, just a type of oil, the dulgiram. So get them nice and cool, and you can see when you squeeze them, it doesn't get too sort of mushy. It should be nice and clean. Like, you should better pick up one of them and remove it. This next part is interesting because I don't think I put about these extra ingredients. So the cucumber, and we add those 3, the sugar, salt, and the vinegar. Let it sit for a bit. That's the key part. That takes the moisture from the cucumbers there, which you can see. Then just squeeze them. Basically just creating a very super fast pickle. And that's because we want that vinegar flavor to come through with our sort of almost spicy sauce, and then very sort of almost simple chewy noodle taste. This is seaweed lather, or the gim. You've seen that before, and very good taste. And you can actually buy different types of this. You can buy the gim or the lather that is pre-roasted, and it's almost like a snack. But this is good because it is long and thin, which makes it easier to present. I can put it on something, which you can see me doing here. So I can put it on in strips, adding our cucumber. Ooh. And I realized I'd forgotten the radish, which led me to do the following thing where I roll it up. So that's pre-pickled radish, and you often get that radish when you order chicken. So when you get fried chicken in Korea, sometimes they give you this radish and it looks like that, but I bought the radish. It's designed for this dish and for Bibim Makguksu, which I'll use in a later video. And it's beautiful. So there you go, 4 different noodle dishes in Korea that are easy to make, completely delicious without a doubt, and can be designed to look beautiful on the plate if you want it. So like and subscribe if you're interested in Korean cooking and you enjoyed the video, because every week I do a new Korean recipe and you've seen me plate these things up. Sometimes they look amazing and I guarantee they'll always taste amazing too. So I hope you enjoy your day. Go out and have some noodles and enjoy whatever food you're eating. Cook well, live well, and have a great time. Thank you for watching.